This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're going to take you inside the Sphere because CityCast producer Layla Mohammed did it. She saw a show at the Sphere, and she's going to give us all the best insider tips for a successful night out at our most famous venue. It's Wednesday, December 6th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Hi, Layla.
Hello, Sarah.
Welcome to the other side.
Yes, thank you. Hello.
I am so excited to hear about your night at the Sphere. But I also need to begin at the beginning. So I'm glad we're doing this. I have a friend coming into town. He wants to go to the Sphere. So what shows are even playing at the Sphere right now?
So right now there are the two shows, U2's Residency that wraps up next March and Postcards from Earth. It was also just announced that Phish is going to have a 4-show residency there next April. Those tickets go on sale next week. Something I didn't know before going into Postcards from Earth, which is the 50-minute film, is that it's part of the Sphere experience.
Exactly, Layla. The Sphere experience. It's impossible to say.
Those words, I'm like, my lisp is like coming back.
Why isn't it the experience? This is my strongly worded letter right now.
Experience.
The Sphere experience.
That's actually easier to say.
The experience, yeah.
Yes, but it's a part of the Sphere experience, which is you go in and for 60 minutes, they actually have you hang out in the atrium with all of the robots. And yeah, you're walking around, hanging out, eating. There's tons of bars down there. And then eventually, within that 60 minutes, probably like 30 minutes in, they open the higher floors. So that's something I didn't know, and I wish I dressed differently because I dressed to sit in a movie theater, and I was walking around for an hour. So that was something to keep in mind.
Okay, we're going to get back to the robots in a second here. But first things first, was it hard to get tickets? Are they expensive? What's the deal?
It was pretty easy to get tickets. I went on a weekday, and there was a lot of availability. They have some sections closed off during the week that I assume that they open during the weekends for definitely for the U2 show, but also for showings of Postcard from Earth. So tickets were pretty easy to get. They were $178 with fees.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Yeah. So the fees weren't that bad. It was listed at around $160. So fees weren't that bad. But yeah, for the 300 levels, it was $178, which is a pretty pricey ticket.
That is way more than I expected. Almost $200 to see like the Sphere experience at the Sphere.
There are cheaper tickets. The 400 levels, which are the steep nosebleed seats, those are $99.
Oh, okay.
It was good, though, because I thought it was just the movie, and it made more sense that it was 60 minutes of talking to the robots.
What's the last show that you spent that much money on?
Oh, my God. I saw Beyonce. That was a lot. That was definitely more than $200.
Were any of the robots as good as a Beyonce concert?
Oh, no, of course not. Of course not.
So was this thing worth it for $178?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because if you're going with multiple people, if you're trying to go on a date, if you're buying tickets for a group, that gets really pricey. And so I think it's kind of cost prohibitive in that.
Holy crap.
Yeah, in that vein.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you need a ticket to step inside? Like, you have to have a ticket to get through the door. Yes. Okay.
Yes, 100%. You can't get in the building without a ticket.
Okay. So let's do this. Can you take us on your journey? You bought your ticket online with the company card.
Yes.
Not your personal investment.
That's an important note.
And then you left your house to go to the Sphere, and then what happened?
So I got there. The showtime was listed for 4:30. I got there around 3:30. They don't open the doors until around 4, and that's just for the a holding area. And then at 4:15, they let everyone go up the escalators to the atrium, which has the robots, the main floor bars, and all the main entrances, like the entrance from the bridge to Venetian. So that's where I started. I would not recommend coming too early because you're just going to be standing outside.
Okay.
If your showtime says 4:30, then you can get there at 4. So you go in, you get in around 4:15, close to 4:30, and then you go into the floor with all of the robots. There's about 5 AI
what
robots.
are you talking about?
Exactly. So there's 5 AI robots there. Their name is Aura. They're bolted to the floor. They have 2 attendants, each robot, and they're kind of like little kiosks or little stations that you can go and visit and talk to each robot.
What do they tell you?
You can ask it questions. It tells you anything. You can ask it questions. One woman asked it if it could dance. It did a little cute dance. Every robot did the same dance, by the way.
Oh.
Because multiple people were asking each robot to dance. And so that was cute. There was one kind of uncanny experience where she was talking to this girl. This girl asked a question, and she was holding a drink in her hand, and Aura asked, "Are you drinking Fireball?" which is an alcohol. And the girl was like, "No." And the robot attendant said, "Oh, it's because of your shirt. I couldn't see her shirt from the front, but I'm guessing her shirt said Fireball." So the AI asked if she was drinking Fireball in the cup that she was holding. And she would comment on what you were wearing. This girl was wearing a cute sparkly hat, and she's like, "I love your sparkly pink hat." So it was
so weird.
Yeah, every robot had those kind of interactions with the guests. Guests were just going up and asking them questions, asking them what are you? Why are you here? Have you experienced snow? And
what?
They would have it was all kinds of questions. So those were the 5 robots, and then they had, I think, 4 avatar scanners. And if you want to do the avatar scanners, the line does get long, so kind of make your way to that first.
What does that mean? What is an avatar scanner?
You stand in it, and it scans you, and it sends an avatar, an avatar of yourself to your email.
Why?
AI, technology, innovation, I don't know.
Okay, but there are snacks while you do this?
Yes, there's snacks. There's actual food. They have 4 restaurants, kiosks on the first floor, and then on the higher floors they have other bars and other food. And it's a pretty good selection. I got a tri-tip sandwich. I wouldn't recommend the tri-tip sandwich.
Okay.
I was trying to go for something not boring.
So it's not popcorn and nachos, but the example you had wasn't very good. Maybe it should be popcorn and nachos.
Exactly. And they had those. They had burgers and hot dogs and kind of the standard movie theater fare. And then they had ahi sandwiches and tri-tip sandwiches and all of that stuff, kind of the fancier things. I would probably either eat before or go for something simple because the food was ridiculously expensive. And so were the drinks. I paid as much for a can of beer as I did for the tri-tip sandwich.
What?
Yeah. It was a tall boy. It was a tall can.
Okay, tell us how much.
But still, $20 for a can of beer and then $25 for a sandwich. That wasn't that good. It was kind of disappointing.
Craft beer or Coors?
It was a Corona.
I almost really dropped the F-bomb on this podcast. Maybe I just will. $20 for Corona?
That was like one of the
Layla.
least expensive drink options.
So, okay, you've been hanging out with the robots, eating your mediocre sandwich, and then I assume the theater opens.
Yes. So the theater opens. I make my way up the stairs. Floors 2 and 6 are like the main floors for the higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the 300 level, so I was on floor 6.
These are the
They
cheaper seats in
have
the higher levels, correct?
Yeah, the higher levels are the cheaper seats. The best levels to sit at are levels 200 and 300.
Okay.
That's where you get the best view of the screen, the best vantage point, and not that many obstructions.
Yeah, so I heard that some of the seats have obstructed viewing too.
Yeah, for the level 100, you can't really see the ceiling. And then level 400, I've heard that there's like posts and pillars in the way, and you can't really see everything from up there either. And it gets really steep also.
Okay, so it sounds like you ended up with, ideal seats. How is the show? What was the show? And I think like my vibe is, how is this different from IMAX?
So yes, I was in level 305, which I recommend because it's that center section from the bottom and the sides.
Okay.
Getting in there was a little scary because it is steep, but if you're familiar with stadium seating, if you've ever sat nosebleed at a concert, then you kind of get used to that like steep stadium type feel of the seats.
Terrifies me though. I feel like I'm gonna fall to my death.
Yeah, it is terrifying. I would suggest to go sober because one trip
Wow.
and you're like falling.
Okay.
And so the screen was it was definitely spectacular. When you go in, it is that standard movie theater size. Like the beginning of the movie starts at the standard movie theater size. But then once the screen opens up and surrounds you in that half sphere, what it turns out to be, because the seats are on the other side, it feels like you're being engulfed or transported into something. And I think that's the difference from IMAX. It's just so much bigger and it feels like you're surrounded. And you're like putting your head up and looking above you and to the sides of you way more than you would in a normal IMAX movie.
Did it feel real?
Did it feel real? Yes, but I was looking, if I wasn't looking so hard, like I was looking to a certain spot where I could see like the panels of the screen to see like, okay, I can see that this is a screen. And that made me feel better for my like sensory purposes, like that this is not real, this is not throwing me into the Grand Canyon, because the way that it's shot, it feels like you're kind of falling into the Grand Canyon at some point, or like kind of falling into these landscapes. So that was, knowing that it's a screen is helpful, and like kind of if you can spot those spots in the screen where you can tell that it's a panel, that was helpful for me.
So you had to like orient yourself a little bit and like ground yourself in reality a little bit, because you would feel, a little overwhelmed or, vertigo.
Yeah, I got a headache while I was there. I think it was a mixture of that like intense, like you're surrounded by these grand images and like blown up insects and very detailed views. And then you're also shaking in your seat because the seat has haptics, which I hated personally. I don't need to feel the shake of every stomp from the elephant.
I feel like I'm being such a downer this episode, but this does sound like it would make me ill. Like, as someone who gets motion sick?
Yeah. Yeah, I also get very motion sick. I didn't get as ill as I thought I was going to.
Okay.
Like, the Sphere has a sensory room for people who experience dizziness, vertigo, sensory overload. It's a room with soft lighting and like fidget toys. And they also have bags that you can take into the arena or the room, the Sphere, the viewing room, that has headphones and fidget toys if you need some like sensory help to get through the show. And the staff is very helpful. Like if you see
Okay.
any staff member, they know right where to send you to get help with anything like that.
Okay.
Any bathrooms you need to be pointed to. The staff is very, very helpful with anything you might need if you get overwhelmed in that experience, because you could get overwhelmed in the atrium as well.
Wow.
The
Okay.
lights are a lot, the robots are a lot, there's a lot of people. The whole experience was a little overwhelming, but not as bad as you think it is.
I mean, of course, to get to the sensory room, I have to not fall to my death down the
Yes.
many stairs of the sphere.
Yes, you got to make sure you hold on to those railings.
Amazing. Layla, can you describe a little bit more like what you're actually seeing? So I know there's like these, it seems like micro, macro landscapes, bugs, elephants. It's kind of like a National Geographic spectacular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the film, it reminded me of, for field trips a lot, when I was a kid, we would go see the Planet Earth films.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that. A little bit more people, and like it showed a lot of like cultural things and celebrations and different countries. But it reminded me of a Planet Earth film.
Okay.
The message of the movie I wasn't really sure of. I don't know if it was like save the Earth or save the planet, because at the end they just went to find a new planet. But that's for people to decide for themselves.
This whole thing sounds like a cross between like Disneyland, like 1950s Tomorrow World or Tomorrowland, you know? Like,
yeah.
This is the future. Everything will be robots. But then also just like the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios.
Exactly. No, it was very dystopian, very futuristic. The whole experience, like even walking up from the parking lot and seeing the giant sphere close up like that, was a surreal experience. You could see kind of like the pucks that they use to project I'm not going to go into the technical
science,
like the science behind the sphere, but you can see the lights in the sphere, but it doesn't change how like grand and how massive it is and how bright it is when you're up close like that too. But I mean, I was expecting to like it less than I did. I liked it a lot more than I was expecting, and I didn't need to go into the sensory room like I was also expecting.
Would you recommend going to a show at the Sphere?
Yes, I would recommend it if it's in your budget. Probably not for a date unless you're really trying to impress your date. And they're gonna stick with you because you're gonna drop $200, probably $300. It's definitely an expensive night, but it is pretty spectacular. It is really cool. It's one of the most spectacular things to do in the city right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, Layla, thank you for taking us on this journey. I feel like out of breath. I feel like I've been there with you, and I need to go hang out in the sensory room for a while.
Yes, for sure.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, here's what you can do. Send this episode to your posse that you're taking to the Sphere. Listen together, make a plan, go be amazed, go get motion sick, then rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
Oh, and an insider tip, the second floor has pizza. I didn't see pizza at any of the other bars or restaurants, so definitely check out the second floor.
How much was the pizza? $83.
Oh, I didn't write down how much the pizza was, but probably like $20.
Oh my God. Could you ask one of the robots to buy you a slice?
Honestly.